Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for choosing to spend part of this Friday with us. You need to trust me, and you're going to adore this presentation. I was present there, and I really objective because I lack all the skills that interpreters need. So I do know that this really works. And of course, this is not only needed or useful for translators and for everybody, I would say. I was in his presentation in Valencia in our conference in Valencia in 2018, and it was amazing, really. So that's all I can tell you for now. You're going to see yourselves. Well, just a couple of things about Javier. Javier is an interpreter, translator, and consultant. He's also a federally certified court interpreter, certified medical interpreter, and a contract interpreter for the Department of State of the United States of America. Since 2007, Javier has offered training workshops for court, medical, conference, and community interpreters across the USA. Javier is a frequent speaker and trainer at national and international conferences, and I should say one of the best. He is the former president of the Carolina Association of Translators and Interpreters, former chair of the National Association of Judicial Interpreters and Translators, NAJIT, and he's currently the head of our association of the US chapter of the International Association of Professional Translators and Interpreters. He is also a very active member of the American Translators Association, and I'm not going to use any more time. The floor is yours. Javier, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurora. Thank you, everyone. Aurora, can you make me co-host, please? Oh, I think I already am. Fantastic. All right. Before we begin, can everybody see my slides? Ran into an issue last night where people couldn't see my slides and didn't know till halfway through my presentation. So just a thumbs up, if you can see.
Not yet, Javier.
Not yet.
No.
All right.
I don't see any slides.
Now.
Yes, okay. Now it's perfect.
Well, welcome everybody. Thank you guys for being here, for spending this hour with me this Friday morning. We're going to move fast, and we're going to talk a lot about a lot of different things memory related. Now, just as we've got 20, I can't quite see anybody. If you're able to turn your cameras on, I'd love to be able to see you guys so we can kind of interact. I will try to make this as interactive as possible, both through video and chat. And I will be asking you guys some questions, and we can both respond orally and as well in the chat. So if you could please put in the chat just where you are in the world right now, and if you are primarily an interpreter or a translator or both. And while you're
Feel free. Right. Sorry.
All right. So for those of you who are interpreters, have you ever had a situation where you've had a speaker give a long rendition of something, and then you turn to them and just say something like our friend Homer would?
Hey, can you repeat the part of this stuff where you said all about the things? The things?
Right. Not a good look. Not a good look, but it happens to all of us at some point. For whatever reason, we'll talk about reasons a little later on, we don't capture everything. Whether it's because the speaker is being difficult, the sound quality is being difficult, your brain is being difficult, whatever it is, you may have to ask a speaker, hey, whoa, what was all that? Just repeat everything, please. And it doesn't happen when you're interpreting. It can also happen when you're talking to your specific other as they're telling you about taking the trash out again. I think that's what she said. I wasn't paying attention. Right? There's always this conversation. So real quick, what do you guys put in the chat? I want to see, what do you want to remember? What are the things that are important to you? What are the things that you find difficult to remember, both in your working lives as well as in your day-to-day lives as human beings on the earth? Numbers, always difficult for some people, for a lot of people. Statistics, dates, proper nouns. And numbers can be extremely difficult. People introduce themselves, their names, apartments. Too long. Absolutely. These are the same kind of things that we all, I think, struggle with as interpreters. I have a hard time in my daily life just remembering where I put my car keys and my wallet and my phone. I spend an inordinate amount of time looking for them because I'm constantly on the move and I want to just leave the house, but can't remember where it was I left my phone today. Now, so we're going to do a quick memory test. All right. I'm going to read out. Here's what I want you guys. I want you guys to put your pens down, recording down, your AI devices down, and just listen and think. Okay. And then grab a pen and paper. So have a pen and paper ready, or something with which to type or write. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out a list of things, and then I'm going to ask you when I'm done to write down as many of them as you can remember. And I'm going to move kind of quickly, but I'll pause, give like a 2 or 3 second pause between each one, and then say the next one. Okay? Understood? Here we go. Cat. I'll say them twice, just so I can make sure that you can hear me clearly. So cat. Desk. Piano. Piano. Happiness. Happiness. Rain. Rain. Comet. Comet. Mouse. Mouse. Lincoln. Lincoln. Paris. Paris. Grandfather. Grandfather. Muhammadu Buhari. Muhammadu Buhari. Coffee. Coffee. Bicycle. Bicycle. New York. New York. Justin Timberlake. Justin Timberlake. Bible. Bible. Airport. Airport. Light bulb. Light bulb. And chocolate. Chocolate. Okay, write down as many as you can remember and in order if possible. I'll give you guys just 45 seconds. 10 more seconds. Jot down everything you remember. Don't worry about spelling. Okay, time's up. All right. Let's look at the list. Cat, desk, piano, happiness, rain, comet, mouse, Lincoln, Paris, Godfather, Muhammadu Buhari, coffee, bicycle, New York, Justin Timberlake, Bible, airport, Iraq, light bulb, and chocolate. There were 20 items that I gave you. How many of you, well, just put into the chat, please, how many you got right? How many you were able to remember out of 20? Aurora says 6. Aurora says 11, 13. 5, 6, 11. Somebody added something. 9, 10. All right. Overwhelmingly less than, right around half. Somebody did excellent with Mubera with 16. Our winners so far. So, for those of you who got less than 20, what made that difficult? Please feel free to open up the chat or open up, unmute yourself and tell us what made that difficult. Raise your hand and I'll call on you. They were unrelated words, says Nesma. Absolutely. Completely disparate ideas. One thing had nothing to do with the other. Saren or Karen, please correct me on the pronunciation. She says, I missed one and then couldn't follow the others. Absolutely. So for those of you who got more than 10, how? What did you do? What? Well, let's talk about the difficulties, right? The length. You had no idea how long the list was going to go on. You didn't know if it was going to stop at 4, at 5, at 100. There were unrelated ideas. There's also the stress, the time crunch, right? I'm moving pretty quickly. The name of the person, unfamiliar names, right? Is it easier to think of Muhammadu Buhari or Justin Timberlake? Do you have a mental image of has everybody heard of Justin Timberlake? Probably. What about Muhammadu Buhari? Who can tell us who that would be? Former president of an African nation. Give you some hints. Not an overwhelmingly popular figure, as in popular as in the way that Madonna or Elton John or Justin Timberlake would be, right? So not having familiarity with the person. Somebody says, try to make like a dream, like linking things together. So what techniques did you use? Somebody used associations, something clinked. I see somebody try to make like a list. What other ways did you use to try to remember these ideas? Mind map, interpreter Flor Devana. What do you mean by mind map?
You start clockwise, just remembering the items. You can start picturing them, kind of the cat on the desk by the piano feeling happy, then the rain. So it's a whole, until Muhammad comes up.
Right.
And then that man map is just like shut down. So then you start connecting again once you get Justin Timberlake, New York, and maybe a Bible by Justin, and then chocolate that he may or may not like, airports and Paris, and that sort of like. So that's the connection, but it's clockwise. I mean, going clockwise will help you kind of spot the order of the, I mean, in this case, it's just objects, but you're trying to find some connection amongst each other. so that you can better remember them. That's the way I did it. But
Fantastic. Yeah. So linking the objects together, like the cat is on the desk and is playing the piano, or Justin Timberlake is in New York at a concert and he's holding a Bible. Like linking these things together is an absolutely fantastic link until you come across something that breaks the link, like Muhammadu Buhari. And if you miss the one thing, then you've got nothing to link the next things. Or you've made this amazing link with Justin Timberlake with 10 things, but you forgot Justin Timberlake. You had 15 other things, but if you forget the first issue, right? If you get the first creating the first link in the chain, you forget the rest. You can also create in your mind's eye connections that don't exist, right? Somebody wrote down they saw an airplane because they had an image of an airplane at the airport, so it was actually an airport. Or you may say, oh, there was a cat playing the piano. No, there was never said anything about a cat playing the piano. There was a cat and there was a piano. The cat hates the piano. The cat is a cellist, right? You just made this story up. And so that can cause problems, create false memories. And there's internal interference as well. Like we hear things, I don't know who this person, Justin, who? I've never, and you have that mental block, like trying to figure out Justin, what, who? And all of a sudden there's this interference between actually listening and understanding and recording to then having this debate in your mind. Oh, I don't know who Justin is, or I really hate his music. And so it makes this, I'm passionately anti-Justin Timberlake. And so that made me forget everything else that came after Justin Timberlake, because I was so focused on my hate, right? So talk real quick about the interpreting process, and this will kind of go into the next couple things that we're going to be dealing with. So when somebody says, I have a bad time with interpretation, my concept isn't good, I don't have a good memory when I'm doing interpreting, let's first look at what the interpreting process entails. And we'll go real quickly, right? It starts off on the left-hand side, source language. There's language recognition, comprehension, storage, retrieval, conversion. That's what taking the source language to the target language message, and then doing the generation. Ideally, it's 100%. It's a closed circuit. 100% of the source language comes in, 100% of the target's language message comes out. When there is less than 100% coming out of your mouth, that means there's an issue with one of these or a combination of these 6 things. So let's start off with blah, 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 language recognition, blah, blah, blah. Hi, Javier. Oh, I heard some noise and then I heard a hi, Javier. I recognize the language, right? Now, what if somebody's typing in the background, or the thing's beeping when somebody comes in the room, or the speaker is speaking very, very quickly, or doesn't speak well, doesn't enunciate, has a very thick accent, the microphone goes out. There's something that stops you from recognizing the language and discerning the actual words from the noise, right? So if that happens, that's external. You can't really do anything about that. Or let's say I hear the words, it's English, speaker's clear, and the speaker says, hey, when I add the carburetor manifold intake to the flummerlocks, great, those are English words. I have no idea what the heck that means. So I can't possibly interpret that. The interpretation is lost there. So it's comprehension, the comprehension issue. Or I recognize it, I understand it, but I didn't store it correctly, either in my short-term active or working memory. I got distracted, I got stressed out because it was going on too long. I didn't understand it was Muhammadu instead of Muhammad. I was thinking about Justin Timberlake's song and I started dancing. All these things happen. Or my note-taking is bad, right? And so I didn't actually store the message either in my brain or on my notepad. And of course, then it's lost. Or you recognize it, comprehend it, you store it, but when it came time to retrieve it, it wasn't there. Right? How many of you, when I went through the list, like, oh yeah, he did say Paris. Oh yeah, he did say grandfather. It was there. You did hear it. You did understand it. You did store it. But when it came time to retrieve it, to write it down, you couldn't pull it out. There was nothing overwhelmingly difficult in the words that I gave you, save the 2 names, right? Everything else was very general. So there was a retrieval issue. Or in interpreting, it could be that there is a conversion issue, right? I just don't know how to say bicycle in Mandarin. I just don't know how to say it. So I stored it, I recognized it, stored it, understood it, retrieved it, but I don't know how to say it in the target language. And so it's a target language issue. Or finally, it could just be a generation issue where got the message, it's brilliant, I have it here until it hits my lips or my pen, and I say something different than what I meant to say. We misspeak. Or I speak too quickly to be understood, and the listener doesn't hear the message correctly. Or I meant to write down airport, my hand wrote airplane, right? And I read back my notes. It could be a generation issue. So it's not necessarily I'm bad at consecutive. It could be I'm bad when the speaker is from this country and they have very thick accents, and so the recognition issue is hard. Or it's very difficult when they talk about this complex subject regarding engine parts. I don't understand it, so I can't remember it. Or I get overwhelmed and distracted. I think I've got a bad memory and a bad note-taking system. And so I get overwhelmed when the speaker goes more than a sentence or two sentences, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's maybe not one thing. It could be all these little things. Once you figure out what that is, then you can start fixing it. Thinking about where we put the information in our brains. We hear these things, right? This is an idea of what my brain looks like, perhaps. I know I put Paris in there. I heard him say Muhammadu Buhari. I heard him say Justin Timberlake. Where did I put that information? Just chuck it back there and hope that one day I will find it, right? This is not a way to live, right? The stuff is there. This person obviously, right, recognized it, stored it. She knows what the stuff is. Just I can't find it when I need it. It's then there, kind of like in our brains. We don't know where we're putting stuff. It's just we hear it. We say we're going to remember it, but where? Where do we actually remember it? Where do we store it? So the lesson on this is you don't necessarily have a bad memory. What you have is an untrained memory. And for the next 40 minutes, we're going to talk about ways to train your brain and to think about how you're going to store and encode information, right? The keys to remembering things. You want to convert ideas into images and encode them, right? Numbers are difficult because what does 46,212 look like in your brain? What does the Eiffel Tower look like? Oh, that's easy. You have an image of the Eiffel Tower, but 46,200 and whatever I said, I have no idea, right? Numbers are difficult. Names are difficult because we don't necessarily have an image for that name. So we want to convert ideas into images, encode them, and then make them sticky, make them memorable. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Store them where you can find them, your storage, review, and then you can retrieve them when necessary. So those are the three parts of memory and keys to remembering information, right? Encode it, store it, and then retrieve it. All right, so when we talk about memory, we're talking about three things. We're talking about short-term memory, your working memory, and then your long-term memory. Short-term memory is the immediate couple seconds, of what happened. Working memory, 5 to 7 minutes. And long-term memory is everything you learned prior. You have to be able to extract when interpreting both the short-term, what the speaker just said, use the working memory, put in context about what was said just before that, what was the question that was asked, what were the previous questions that were asked for doing a dialogue, and then long-term memory is where you retrieve all of the stuff that you built up as a professional, all of your grammar, all of your syntax, all of your vocabulary, all the things you've spent years studying and learning and perfecting and comprehending. You pull that from your long-term memory. So when you're interpreting, you're putting all these three things together. So what things can help us in general terms outside of the world of interpreting that we already know exist, right? We'll talk quickly about mnemonic devices, songs and rhymes, acronyms and acrostics, linking and associations, peg systems, the method of loci, and the memory palace. So I don't know how many of you grew up in the United States, or these might be culturally limiting, but in 1492, can anybody tell me the rest of that sentence. In 1492,
America was discovered.
There's a rhyming there. Does anybody? This might be culturally limiting. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. My baloney has a first name. This is a little older. Hi, this is from commercials. Like a Good Neighbor. This is a newer commercial in the United States. How about Just Do It? Let's start with that one. What's Just Do It?
Nike's motto.
Nike. Okay, cool. Who are my 80s rock friends? 80s rock? Anybody familiar with 80s rock? There's a famous song about Jenny and her phone number. Starts 867.
Elton John, I think so.
Oh, that would be Tiny Dancer. Jenny's phone number is 867-5309. 867-5309. Again, US 80s song. All right, Lost on This Crowd. Lesson noted. There are things that are sticky, like Nike's Just Do It, right? That's an international slogan. We don't have to think about it. It's there. All right, acronyms and acrostics. So television, songs, Tiny Dancer, Elton John. We hear the songs. We know those lyrics. We've heard them again and again and again. Acronyms and acrostics. Roy G. Biv is one that's used in schools to teach the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. For those studying music, Every Good Boy Does Fine. It's the notes on the treble clef: E, G, B, D, F. And Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally is used to teach the order of operations: parentheses, exponentials, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So these are some acrostics that we've learned as kids. Are there some that are familiar to you all from wherever in the world you are, things that you grew up with, little rhyming techniques or acrostics that help you remember the presidents or the colors of something?
I remember they taught us once the order of the planets at
Oh, yeah.
school. So from each planet, they took the first letter, but I forgot that because that was a long time ago. But it was a way to remember the order in which the planets in the solar system lie.
Yes, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, like many something. Depends on, do you remember any of it?
No, that was a long time ago.
I bet you if I knew what you knew, if I started the first three, it would probably
It
come
would
back.
come back, certainly, yes.
It's in there. It's in there somewhere. So those are acrostics. Right? Acrostics can be used for long-term storage, like memorizing the planets order, and they can be short-term for single use. How many of you have ever
Javier, sorry, I remembered one. There is a rhyme in Spanish to remember which months have 30 days and which months have 31 days.
Okay. Share it with us.
30 días tiene noviembre con abril, junio y septiembre. 28 solo hay uno y los demás 31. And it was a long time ago also.
Long time ago, but you've got it. It's a memory. It was the musical, the rhyming made it sticky, right? And now it's been at least 10 years since you were in elementary school. So it's lasted more than 10 years, right? So, all right. So who's ever seen something like this before? We're in post-pandemic world, I think.
I'm familiar with that because I'm from Argentina and it's a good memory.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you. What about these things right here at the airport, right? You have to go in and put in your record locator number. These are a string of, American Airlines uses 6 letters, right? Sometimes you write it down, sometimes it's on your phone, but what happens if your phone dies? or you can't find it right now, or you plugged it in, you put your phone down, and then the machine breaks and you've got to move to a different machine. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to just have a nice acrostic to remember this? So this is my challenge for you for the next 10 seconds. Come up with an acrostic, a sentence using the first letters, or you're using the letters S, V, P, C, W, M. This is where you can use your brilliance, make it ridiculous, make it however you want to. Come up with a 6-word sentence or 6 words that are linked together that will help you remember this. And then put it into the chat, please. I want to see your brilliance in English. Or if it works in your other working languages, put it in there as well, whatever is easier for you. But it's got to be SVP CWM. Spain versus Portugal can win and must. I like it. Spain versus Portugal can win and must. S'il vous plaît, coworker memory. Look at that. I love it. I knew you guys would have fun with this. All right, who else has got a brilliant acrostic for SVP? Spain versus Portugal can win and must.
Yeah.
Silly Valerie, please catch watch match. Oh, I like it. Saucy virus, PC will melt. Oh, fantastic. Starry viral person can win money. Look at that. All right, how so very precious woman. Look at the brilliance here. So you plug in SVPCWM, saucy virus, PC will melt, and then the machine breaks down. You go to the next machine, it's easy to remember. Saucy virus, PC will melt. It's a lot more difficult to remember SVPC, was it MW, WM, was there a T or P, right? So you can use acrostics for very simple short term. You don't need to keep this for 10 plus years, right? You can use it for your working memory from the time you get your phone out, you look at your phone, you say, okay, Spain versus Portugal can win must, and then you go walk over to the machine and then plug it in and you've got it. A short term, very easy, very fun, much more interesting mental image than a set of random letters. So next thing is associations. We can associate things together. Like earlier with the list, somebody said, oh, the cat is on the piano, right? Or cat is on the desk, right? We can actually link two things and put them together in a fun, crazy, silly, memorable image. So I want you guys to think of these two images, Bugs Bunny and the Constitution. It doesn't have to be the US Constitution, it can be the Constitution of your own country, but just come up with a crazy image linking Bugs Bunny with the Constitution. And when you have one, raise your hand, and I'm going to ask you to tell us what your association is. The bunny eats the Constitution. So rather than a carrot, he's rolling up, he's got the Constitution in his hand and he's munching on the Constitution. That's a much easier thing. So I'll be careful, adding Trump doesn't help you remember Bugs Bunny, does it, Aurora? Right? So we're thinking about Bugs Bunny specifically, and the Constitution. So how can we link those things together? So you see the orange made you think of orange Trump, orange US, Trump, Constitution. I can see the logic of that. But if I ask you in 10 minutes, you'll think Trump. You won't think cartoon rabbit.
And it will be distracting, right? It will trigger other
To
things,
trigger other things.
danger.
So, fantastic. Thank you for bringing that to mind. So yeah, so carrots, agricultural produce regulations. Look at that. You guys are going way out there. I like the Bugs Bunny eating the Constitution. Rather than a carrot, he's holding a rolled up parchment piece of paper. That's an easy thing. Or maybe Bugs Bunny is writing out with a big feather pen, writing the Constitution. You can think of some fun, crazy, silly image that you will link forever, or as long as you want to, Bugs Bunny and doing something with or to the Constitution. All right, the next one is called the PEG system. All right, and where you link things to your head or to your body, right? You can use anything, but let's start right now with your body. So think of the top of your head, your mouth, your hands, your belly button, and your feet in that order. All right, do you have that? Think of the top of your head, think of your mouth, think of your hands, think of your belly button, and think of your feet. All right, and then backwards, your feet, belly button, your hands, your mouth, and top of your head. All right, now I'm going to give you 5 things. And the first one, I want to imagine it on the top of your head. The second one, I want you to imagine it with your mouth, something to do with your mouth, inside your mouth, you eating it, something related to your mouth. The next one, it's in your hands. You're holding it, you're touching it, you're doing something with it. It's inside your hands. It's huge. It's not tiny. The next one is your belly button and then your feet. All right, so we're going to link the things, peg them to your body. All right, here we go. A pocket watch. Pocket watch. Next, a coffee mug. Maybe not unlike this one. Bicycle helmet. Bicycle helmet. A leather-bound notebook. A leather-bound notebook. And flowers. Flowers. All right. You guys have that? Think of the locations on your body and think of those objects there. We'll come back to them later. Pegging, the PEG system, leads us to the memory palace, which we'll talk very briefly about. Memory palace has been used throughout history and as a way of remembering things. Famously used in popular culture by Sherlock Holmes and also Hannibal Lecter. And in Thomas Harris's book Hannibal, there's a fantastic description of Hannibal's immense memory palace. I'll share the slides with you guys later on, and you can read the description of it. But his palace is huge. It's the Norman Chapel in Palermo. It's fantastic. And like the scholars before him, Dr. Lecter's stores and well, let's go back. The memory palace, it says here, was a mnemonic system well known to ancient scholars, and much information was preserved there. Like the scholars before them, Dr. Lecter stores an enormous amount of information keyed to objects, kind of like pegged to objects in his 1,000 rooms. The palace is built according to the rules discovered by Simonides of Chios and elaborated by Cicero. It's airy, high ceiling, furnished with objects that are vivid, striking, shocking, absurd, sometimes beautiful. They're well spaced and lighted. All right, so a memory palace is a location. It can be a path. This we call the journey method or the method of Loki. through your village, through your town, or a physical place like your house. And the idea is that you have a path that you create through your house, and in each room, you store an object, much like your head, mouth, hands, belly button, and feet. So here's the first thing I'm going to ask you guys to do is look around the room that you are in right now and just pick 5 locations. If you were to walk into that room from the door, go from left to right, up to down, pick 5 locations. It could be the light switch, the bookcase, the bed, the chandelier, the baby grand piano, the computer, whatever's in your room. You could be in the kitchen. Just pick 5 locations and then move through them in order. Write them down and review them backwards and forwards. We're going to limit this to 5, but we could make this 100. I'll give you guys 30 seconds to just pick 5 different locations where you can possibly associate or store information. Anybody need more time? You can look at your paper if you've jotted down in order what they are. All right. The key to setting it up, it has to follow a logical order. In one room, and if you're using a memory palace, you can use different rooms, and there can be many different sites in a single room. So if you're happen to be watching this from the bathroom, there can be a sink, a toilet, a shower. If you're in your bedroom, it can be a bed, a dresser, a closet. So each individual room can have many different locations, kind of like what we just asked you to do this. Imagine the house that you're in, an apartment, or a restaurant, wherever you are, there are different rooms in that location. And you can have multiple sites inside each of those rooms. And you can therefore expand the size of your memory palace. Right now, for the purposes of this limited webinar, we're focusing on 5. All right, now, how do we use this? We want to convert the idea that you want to remember into a mental image. And you want to place that image at the first location, kind of like with the pegging system. And now you want to use all of your senses to make it sticky, make it remarkable, make it larger than life, make it gross, make it funny, make it vulgar. Whatever works. These things will make it sticky. And so, I'll give you the first one. All right. Well, here we go. When I created my first memory palace, I started with my house, and I would have my mailbox, and then it's my driveway, and then there's a planter, there is a small sidewalk, and then there's a front porch. Okay. And if I want to remember Justin Timberlake in my first location, it's my mailbox. So I'm going to open my mailbox and I see this guy in there. Who is he? I have no idea. No, that's not true. I hear the music playing. I hear bye, bye, bye. I see NSYNC. I see Justin. I see the Troll song. I can see him. I can hear him. I could touch him if I wanted to. I could taste him. I don't want to, but I could in my mind's eye. I could taste Justin Timberlake, the sweat coming down. I don't want to do that, but I have that mental image, and now that's sticky, right? I open my mailbox. Who's there? It's not Antonio Banderas. It is, without a doubt, Justin Timberlake. So using all of the creativity that I have, I create this really sticky, intense, strong visual image, visual and acoustic image. They work? Yeah, it works. And I have that. So I'm going to give you guys just 5 more things to think about. And I want you to store them in each of these your 5 locations in your short memory palace. Ready? Here we go. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. It's your first spot. here's the key. Forget about Michael Jackson. Place 1 has nothing to do with place 2. Move in your mind's eye to the second location, the second place in your room. Nothing to do with Michael Jackson, but there is a football there. A football. All right, you see the football? You leave it alone. Walk away, forget everything else. Look at your third location. And there is an apple. It could be an edible one. It could be a computer. But there's an apple at your third location. You're somehow sticking an apple there. Got it? All right, you forget everything else and look at your fourth location. The only thing I want you to focus on is the fourth thing, and there's lightning there. Lightning. Maybe you hear thunder, maybe you see the crack, maybe you smell it, but there's lightning. And at the fifth location is the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty. All right. Please put in the chat the 5 things. Look at that. Baruch is the first one, and you get all the points. Now somebody do it backwards without looking at the chat. Good job. So yeah, so that's how the memory palace works. Michael football, lighter, lightning, Statue of Liberty. All right. I may have confused y'all because I did say you hear thunder, but it was lightning. So Farouk, you definitely get all the points. So here's the thing. We did this very, very quickly because we're compressed for time. But this is the idea of how the memory palace works. You link the one thing to that location, and that's it. You never have to worry about if I forgot the cat, that means I forgot the piano and the desk and the sunshine. It's the cat is at the first location. The desk is at the next location. Justin Timberlake is at this location. What's at the top of your head? Think about the thing that we did earlier, real quick. Pocket watch. Pocket watch. What's in your hands? What's in your mouth? Coffee mug. Third thing in your hands? A helmet. And then it was a notebook, and then the flowers at your feet, right? You've associated each thing to each individual location. As long as you can remember that location, the memory will be there. So the practical applications of memory palace, right? You can take this, and if we had time, we would do 50. Right? And it would be that easy. You can remember 50, you can remember 100, you can remember 200. You're not limited to the number of things because you're not keeping this long chain. It's just 200 different things. If you can imagine 200 locations, you can have 200 memories there. Doing this, I'm not suggesting you use a memory palace for interpretation, but this is memory training. It's an exercise. You will build confidence. You will no longer be able to say, oh, I can't remember a list of 15 things. No, you can do that with no problem. List 20 things, no problem. 50 things, 100 things, no problem. You build the confidence. If you've got confidence, then you can absolutely do your job, right? You can use memory palaces for long-term storage. When I was learning how to do this, I created a memory palace around the movie theater, and there I stored all of the movies that won the Best Picture. Right, the Academy Award, the Oscar for the Best Picture goes to, and I've got the list of 50 or 60 movies. I can walk through the memory palace, which is my movie theater, and see a mental image for all of the movies. I can do that for vocabulary. I could do that for my family's birth dates, my kids' social security numbers. I could store things that I want to remember. You can use it for short-term storage. You can use it for interpreter note taking. When you think about, if those of you who work as interpreters and you take notes, one of the main concepts that I teach, and many others do as well, is that we separate our ideas. We listen to something, we take a note, and then we separate our ideas with a line, right? We basically are creating a different section. We create a mental image with our note, and we have that in room 1, section 1 of our notepad, right? And I focus all my time and energy on that first thing. I draw a line, and then I free up my mind to think about the next thing. And then I focus all my time and energy on that thing. I draw a line, kind of like moving from location to location to location in your memory palace or the pegging system. I'm not trying to link all these ideas together. I'm focusing on one thing at a time, and then forget and move on. Focus on one thing, forget and move on. Focus on one thing, forget and move on. And then when I go through my notebook, I am kind of like walking through a memory palace, and I can extract those ideas. And then finally, like doing memory palace and activities like this is just exercising your brain. It's just doing exercise, it's like going to the gym and doing push-ups. In the real world, you never have to do push-ups, but doing push-ups makes you overall stronger and healthier. And lifting weights doesn't help you necessarily unless you're having to pull the helicopter off the survivors, right? And never really going to happen. But overall, it makes your body better. Doing things like this, exercise your brain, make your brain better. Now, we have just a few minutes, so we're going to talk about. So I get back to the notepad, right? This is how, as an interpreter, I would take notes. I encode them. I store them. Idea 1, draw the line. Idea 2, draw the line. Idea 3, draw the line. And then I look back at my notepads and I retrieve them. I go to idea 1, section 2, section 3. I've encoded it. I've stored it. And now I read my notes and retrieve it. Now, the next level. All right, and move very quickly, and I can stay a little longer to answer some questions. But numbers are difficult to remember, like I mentioned earlier, that there are no mental images for 15,222, right? One way, and this works with English, is you can create a rhyming image. So for me, 1 is gun, 2 is a shoe, 3 is a tree, 4 is a door, 5 is hive, 6 is sticks, 7 is heaven. Number 8 is a snowman because it looks like a snowman. Number 9 is wine, number 10 is hen, and 0 is an egg because of the shape. So 1 gun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 sticks, 7 heaven, 8 snowman, 9 wine, 10 hen, right? So then I can use that to associate and link those numbers to images, the things I want to remember. So the Code of Ethics of Professional Responsibility for court interpreters is the following in federal court. Accuracy, canon 1 is accuracy and completeness. 2 is representation of qualifications. 3 is impartiality. 4 is professional demeanor. 5 is confidentiality. 6 is restriction of public comment. 7 is scope of practice. 8 is assessing impediments. 9 is duty to report ethical violations. 10 is professional development. So I've got 10 things that I want to remember. I turn these into an image. 1 is a gun. So I think of the first one is accuracy. So I imagine holding a gun, 1 gun. I'm trying to be very accurate and precise. Canon 1, accuracy, precision. 2, representation of qualifications is a shoe. You ever tried on a pair of shoes? You lift up the tongue and you look at Is this a size 9? Is this a size 7.5? Is this a size 42? Is this women's or men's? It's all there representing the qualifications. 2, shoe. Is the shoe actually telling me what it is? Am I representing myself to be a certified interpreter? Number 9, duty to report ethical violations. Number 9, wine. I see somebody drinking and driving. I see a lawyer opening with a bottle of wine and driving a car. In wine, I got to report an ethical violation. So I've created a mental image of these ethics, right? And link them to the number system that I already have, 1 through 10. So anybody asks me, "Oh, Javier, I can't do that. You can't do this thing." I say, "I'm sorry, that's against number 5. 5 is beehive. I see an image of bees, a beehive with some documents in there, and the bees are protecting the document. Anybody tries to grab that information, the bees sting them. That's a strong mental image that I have. I say, sorry, 5, hive, confidentiality. I must protect that information. I'm sorry, against the code of ethics. Next level after that, all right? Each number can be assigned a letter. 1A, 2B, 3C, 4D, 5E, 6S, 7G, for a lot of different reasons. 8 is H, just because of the sound. 9, N, O is 0. A, B, C, D, E, 6S, just because it's easier. 7, 8, and then 9, because it's got 2 N's, it's easy to remember. Next level after this, if you want to remember more complex numbers, you can create 2-digit numbers. So this is the system that I use. Number 11 is AA, 1-1. AA is Andre Agassi. So forever linked to me, number 11 is Andre Agassi. I have an image of a tennis. You know, I can't remember what he looks like, his face is. I know he's a tennis player. Number 12, AB, Abe Lincoln. Number 21, BA, Ben Affleck. He's an actor. I know who that is. 66, SS, Sylvester Stallone. I can see Rambo. I can see Rocky Balboa. I have that image. 66 doesn't mean anything to me. Rocky Balboa means something to me. So 66, SS, Sylvester Stallone. Can create these mental images. I can put Sylvester Stallone, Andre Agassi, and Abraham Lincoln in 3 different locations. And I can remember 661211. If I want to remember phone number. You follow me so far? I'm moving quick, but this isn't for you guys to come up with right now, but just to see what is possible, right? Certain special numbers, 10, Diego Maradona, or 10, Messi, right? 23 will always be Michael Jordan for me, number 23. 314 will always be pi. 100 for me is Benjamin Franklin because he's on the $100 bill. There's some special numbers that don't follow this logic of first initial, second initial. All right, now, next level after that, we can add for each number 2 things. We have an image, a action, and an object. So 11 for me is Andre Agassi. It's also playing tennis, and an object, a tennis racket. Right? I see a tennis racket, I think 11. Somebody playing tennis, I think of 11. I see Andre Agassi, I think of 11, and vice versa. 20 is Bobby Orr is a hockey player playing hockey, hockey mask. 31, CA, Captain America. Captain America raising a shield. The object is a shield. I've seen them. I was a big Marvel fan, so this is an easy one for me. All right, so how do I possibly use all this together? So I go to hotels a lot because I travel. And hotels, when you're the front desk, they ask you for your loyalty number, right? And so I walk into a Hilton. I imagine this particular Hilton, and I see Hank Aaron, who's a baseball player, raising his hand up like Neo in the Matrix, and he's holding the Declaration of Independence. Like, what the heck is that? It's a very good mental image. I can see a baseball player going like this, holding the Declaration of Independence, and I know it's 9301 810193. Hank Aaron, HA, Hank Aaron, 01 Neo, Declaration of Independence is 93. 93, why 93? Because NC is Nicolas Cage. And there's a famous movie where he goes to steal the Declaration of Independence. So for me, Nick Cage and the Declaration of Independence are forever entwined. So 810193, very difficult to remember. A baseball player raising his hand up, holding the Declaration of Independence. Thank you, National Treasure. See, it was stored in there. I didn't retrieve it when I needed it, but that's why we work in teams. So I can link the person, the object, the action, and the object. So 810193. Now, in Washington, D.C., there's a famous statue of Abraham Lincoln. Oh, this is not Abraham Lincoln. There's a famous statue of Abraham Lincoln. But this isn't the statue I'm talking about. This is Albert Einstein. There's a famous statue of Albert Einstein right outside of the National Academy of Science, or National Science Academy. And I want to put a picture of Bugs Bunny holding the Constitution. Remember that picture that we had, the mental image that we had of Bugs Bunny eating the Constitution? Well, I could see that mental image of the statue of Albert Einstein, and I see Bugs Bunny there in Constitution. What does that have to do with anything? Well, if you know a little bit about Washington, D.C., you know that most of the streets have numbers and letters as names, and there are certain main streets that have important names, like Constitution Avenue. So if I want to think about where the Albert Einstein statue is, I think of Bugs Bunny, BB, which in my memory system, what would that be? Who can tell me what number BB is? Bugs Bunny, 22. So what is the address? At what intersection is the statue of Albert Einstein? The 22nd in Constitution. Forever, I will never ever forget how to find the statue of Albert Einstein because I've linked Bugs Bunny and Constitution. 22nd and Constitution. All right, memory techniques. We've got rote learning, right? We just repeat it over and over and over and over. Things that will help you. Verbatim recall, poems, speeches, etc. Writing, write things out. If you write things out, it's as if you read them 7 times. It encodes in your memory, right? Not typing, not cutting and pasting, but actually physically writing with a pen and paper or a crayon or a chalk in the sidewalk or your fingernail in a piece of dry skin. Like, write it out. You will remember it 7 times. It'll be like reading it 7 times. You can use mnemonic devices, like the ones we talked about, memory palaces to store information, and then use spaced retrieval. So rote learning, there are things that you want to learn over and over. Why is it that we can remember our phone numbers from when we grew up 30 years ago and numbers of our best friend, but I don't know my daughter's phone number today because I don't have to type it out every single time. I just press a button. But my home phone number, I had to dial 803-583-6540 if I want to talk to my grandmother. Again, I've got my grandmother's phone number from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, because I wrote repetition. It works. There's a reason why you learn this in school. You repeat it over and over again, and it becomes part of you. Something that will help you expand your memory, in addition to these, is doing verbatim recall. When's the last time you memorized a poem or a speech for fun, or had to for work? Now, outside of interpreting, like remember a verbatim speech in the same language. Doing this will help you practice. I have a very good memory, and I used to mow grass when I was a kid. And for extra credit in my English class, you could memorize a stanza of a poem. Well, I would spend hours mowing my neighbor's grass, mowing my neighbor's lawn. And during those hours, I would repeat these poems over and over and over. And so instead of getting 5 points for memorizing the first stanza of The Raven, I would get 150 extra points because I remembered 26 stanzas. And I would remember my lines from theater when I was cutting the grass. And that helped expand my memory, my capacity, which undoubtedly makes me a much better interpreter today. So doing exercises like this, anything that you can do to exercise your memory, in something unrelated to your work will undoubtedly help you in your work. So working on your memory takes practice. Just like you work on the vocabulary, you work on the technical skills, you work on your translations, the technical skills there, working on your memory takes practice. There are lots of different ways of encoding and storing information. And I gave you guys a good buffet today of a bunch of different ways that you can encode images, numbers, and names. There's rote learning. What matters though is you have to develop a system that works for you. Then you have to find a place to organize your information so you're not like that image with that lady with all the junk. It's in there, right? It's in that room somewhere. But if I don't know where to find it when I need it, it's might as well be lost. And then you have to practice, practice, practice. My friends, the time is up. There's my contact information. If you click on the QR code, it'll give you a form to fill out where you can put in your information, and I'll happily send you the slides and other materials. If there's anything I can help you out with, please do not hesitate to reach out via email. You can find me on the Facebooks or the Instas or whatever's, not Insta, Facebook or LinkedIn or my website. I'm happy to stick around for a little while longer and have a chat. So Aurora, thank you for having me, and I hope you guys had some fun and learned a thing or two.
Thank you. I don't know if it was amazing, really. And like I said, when I was introducing or shared that we would be having you with this webinar, this is not only for interpreters. I have this problem that all my cell phones are there in the memory. So the other day I had to call my daughter. I didn't know the number. I said, this is even dangerous. I mean, this is a problem. We rely so much on technology sometimes. And I think it's, like you say, it's a good advice, devoting time to practice what we used to do when we were kids, even just repeating rhymes, right? Well, I don't know if we have any comment or questions, if anybody wants to ask something, or you just need to metabolize, or you don't remember what to say, maybe. Well, I can read Laila Helmi. She's a professor at the Alexandria University in Egypt. And okay, everybody is thanking you. Don't be shy. Just you can unmute yourself. And okay, his contact is on the screen. Javier@castillols.com. Well, seems we have no questions, Javier. Thank you so very much. It was really very, very interesting. It was like massage for the brain.
Thank you so much, Javier. It was really interesting, all your speech and all your teaching. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Aurora, thank you so much for having me. It's so great to see you. And hopefully we'll be in the same room at some point in the world sometime soon.
What did you say? I forgot. Have a great weekend.
All right. You guys take care. Thank you.
Thank you.